times of World War I bore witness to countless acts of valor, bravery, and commitment, many of which have found a place in the annals of history. Amidst these tales of heroism stands the military medal of King George V, instituted in 1916. As we chart the uncertain waters of the global wealth landscape, the lofty ethos encapsulated within this illustrious medal guides and inspires the Good Fellows Initiative. It is my honor to announce the presentation of the King George V Medal of 1916 to 1919 to Cristina Wing by our chairman, Lakshmi.
Let me introduce Professor Cristina Wing, faculty member at Harvard Business School in the Technology Innovation Unit. Cristina is focused on topics surrounding family enterprises and chairs of the executive programs for family offices in business, family offices, and rising generation. Senior advisor at Crestview, F3, and Northim Horizons, a private equity firms, and a board member of Corvias and Triple S. Founder of Wingspan Legacy, an advisory firm for founders and family enterprises. On the board of ambassadors of the Stepping Stone Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and privilege to have with us Professor Cristina Wing. She's a senior lecturer of business at Harvard Business School and a co-founder of Wingspan Legacy Partners, an advisory firm for family enterprises. Thank you, Cristina Wing, for this opportunity to have this conversation. Welcome to Good Talks.
Thank you.
So we are going to follow the
alone on stage, but you know, I figured standing out here might be a little more entertaining.
So we want to change the format of an Harvard Business School format. You know, if you go to Harvard Business School, the professors run around the classroom and make sure that everybody in the classroom is in full attention. So, and they can cross-question people. So that's what she's going to do now. Instead of, we are going to question her too much. Okay, let me start with my first question to her. From your university days, you have been part of multiple students' club for investments, venture capitals, and business policy. When and how you developed this fascination for the world of business?
The fascination for a world of business, I think that's a really big question. I'd start with my background. I was an Army brat, which means I was born on an Air Force base. And so the first 15 years of my life, I moved 16 times, which sets you up to learn how to make friends, learn how to spot bullshit, and most importantly, to embrace people that want to lean into the community, especially in things like academic clubs. So as much as I think some clubs we all join are a bit too much, the business clubs that I was exposed to were fabulous.
How was your experience as a United States Senate page, and how did you feel working in the corridors of the most powerful democracy in the world?
Well, it's ironic who the speaker that kept us in our seats today, because the Senate page, I was a Senate page for Senator Kennedy. And I can tell you a lot of bad things happen on the floor of the Senate. And so my experience was a little bit of disillusionment in that when you call votes and other things, it's not as formal and proper as I thought. But then there was also a lot of hope being inside the Senate building as a young person, because there are great leaders, and a great leader is somebody that others want to follow. And I was able to see some of those and see some good change. But by no means would I stand here in front of all you and say that the US political system has it nailed, because we don't. None of us do. But that's why we bet on families and business, because our families and business do have it nailed. They care about society, and they're going to get it right. And if they don't get it right, they're going to try again and eventually get it right.
You have been president and CEO of an organization that represented a top Forbes individual and his family. And earlier, you ran an independent practice that provided investment management for several distinguished families. How has this experience contributed to the enhancement of your capacity to establish connections with the people and assist them in attaining their objectives?
So I think it's important to give you all relevancy. Even though I was born on a military base, my father went on to have a very successful career and became a serial entrepreneur of what we would call family businesses. And I wanted to get as far away from that as possible. So I was raised in Texas, I went to the East Coast, and I never came back. That's a big regret of mine. I ended up running one of the Koch brothers' family offices. And what I learned through that experience is the benefit of concentrated ownership, patient capital, and that all disputes aren't worth fighting. This family, unfortunately, had a lot of fights, but they also had great concentrated ownership and the ability to affect change where they did. That all led me to Harvard Business School and to create a course teaching others on the pitfalls, but also the benefits.
Let's step back. Let's look back your formative years. If there was one thing that could have been done differently, what would it be?
Well, other than that boy I had a crush on in 4th grade, I'd say that I wish I had forgiven myself more. I never forgave myself. And I think not forgiving yourself puts you in a position of defensive. And we need to be offensive in our lives. And so if I were to change something, I would have learned how to forgive myself. But take in mind, I'm half Italian, and my mother's side, they hold grudges forever. And so it's no surprise that I didn't learn to forgive myself, but I've learned more now. The other thing that I've learned as I've gotten older is to say no. You can't do everything, and you can't do everything well. And so my number one advice to all my students is you can have it all, but just not in the same day. It's not about chapters, it's about days. So today, I'm a horrible faculty member because I'm here. I'm not a good mom because I'm here. I'm really not a good advisor to my families, but today I'm doing a good job networking. So maybe on Thursday and Friday, I spend more times in those other areas, and I forgive myself, and I have some semblance of being present with the people I want to in a good way.
Let's talk about your core subject of helping families and family offices. Could you tell us a little about how family businesses and family offices can effectively strategize and collaborate across generations to ensure sustainable multi-generational wealth creation and preservations are possible?
I thought we only had 20 minutes, but with that, what I'll say is succession should start the minute you're in a job. If you're in a non-family entity, let's call it a public company, there's always a plan for succession if something happens to you. The board of directors has authority. How are you guys doing? What's going on? You want to talk about governance? So there's this Sorry, I'm just waking everybody up. It was good to see you get a spring in your step. So, in terms of family office and family enterprise as a whole, their ability to continue, the only way they continue is with succession plans. The problem is most succession planning makes the parent or the elder think they're being displaced. If I come to you and I say, let's talk about what happens when you're not in your role, what do you think?
I am afraid.
You're afraid because I'm implying you're going to be out of your role. But it might be 10 years, but it's just what is the plan? And so families are no different except for there's vying for the positions. Just like there is in business, but the difference is they've been vying since they were 5. And so the best way for families to move forward, have succession plans, have good governance, talk about the things that you don't talk about, and then the family offices, they should all collaborate. The problem is that all of these families, when they were creating their wealth and making cars, they didn't share secrets because they were proprietary. They sell their car company, they get $1, and then they forget that their peers aren't competing with them. They can share in investing, share in ideas. So families need to back up when they start their family office, have a vision, create a business plan, and then hire the team. And all along the way, collaborate, make friends, listen, unlike the secrets they protected in their family.
Commonly, there's a way of looking at it. Academicians or people in academics are not good business people. But you have become an entrepreneur, a businesswoman. You created Wingspan. What made you to create Wingspan? And what is the purpose behind it? And where do you want to see this in the next 10 years?
So if you asked me if I would give up being a professor at Harvard or having Wingspan, and I had to, I'd give up Wingspan. Because being a professor, I get many reps of helping many people. My family business students are awesome, my executive students are awesome, and I have a platform to publish on. The difference between Harvard and Wingspan is Wingspan helps with the execution. So I don't go home with all my students and help them with the execution. What Wingspan does, we're not consultants, we're advisors. So we help collaborate on a plan, start the plan, and then work together on the plan. And Wingspan doesn't leave. We're not consultants. We don't do a 6-month engagement and leave. We might do a 6-month engagement on board revision, but then we stay as an advisor in perpetuity, hopefully, if they'll have us, because when people need advisors is when it's urgent and dire and sad, and that's the worst time to form a new relationship. So we already want to be in there. And both are very fulfilling, but I get asked which one. Harvard's my first baby. Wingspan allows us as a team to go really deep with families, and they need it.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Professor Cristina Wing, for providing us an opportunity to share your insight thoughts and creating a new format. This will be a memorable experience. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen,
thank you.
Please give a big hand for her.
I'm sure I woke you up a little bit, at least with my tap dancing. All right, have a good night.